Shalom, God's beloveds. In the previous video, I shared with you on the supportive person. Today, I'm sharing with you the human behavior, the compliant personality traits. Let's look at a compliant person. A compliant person is perceived as reserved and task-oriented. Now, if you remember the supportive person, it is very similar to a compliant person. A supportive person is reserved but people-oriented. The letter C is to denote a compliant person. Now, it's compliant, not complain. Though the compliant person would naturally complain more than the others. The color to denote a compliant person, we would use yellow. Yellow means cautious. You can use orange as well. And for the symbol is question mark, because a compliant person would enjoy questioning whatever there is, because reliability and precision is important to him. So having said that, the desire of a compliant person is reliability. Now, let's go into more detail of a compliant person, keeping in mind reliability is his desire, is his motivation. So a compliant person is perceived as cautious, is very cautious. He do not just accept anything. So because cautious, you can also say that he is careful in whatever he's doing. Calculative, yes, very calculative. So if he borrows from you 87 cents, for example, he will return you 87 cents as well. He will draw a line between friendship and professionalism. That is why a compliant person is perceived as calculative. Competent. A compliant person is very competent. Whatever you give him to do, he wants to do his best with perfection. If you are thinking that a compliant person is more OCD than the rest, I would say you are right. Conscientious. Yes, a compliant person is conscientious. It means that a compliant person would want to do his work well as per duty. So whatever duty you give to him, if he agrees to do it, he will see it through. So that is reliable. Am I right? A compliant person is also contemplative. It means that if he's doing a task that you ask him to do, he will study thoroughly, ask all the questions he can until he is thoroughly satisfied. Then he will do it, and he will want to do it well. And because of such, he tends to take longer time to complete a task. Now, what would you think an ideal environment for a compliant person? The ideal environment must be an environment for planning and precision. Compliant person, their strength is to plan. They love to plan and to put things in order, and precision is something that they cannot do away with. So that is why a compliant person may seem like an OCD. And if you want him to finish a task, make sure you give him sufficient time and resources. So if you can calculate out for him and help him to agree that this time frame he can complete his task and the resources offered to him is sufficient, he would do it accordingly. But if he cannot agree, you will have problem getting him to complete a task on time and on target and within budget. And every task given to him, it must be clearly defined, and there must be the reason why for him to do it. So if it's not clearly defined, he would be stressed. And the task must be of limited risk or manageable risk. He must know what is there to come. There should not be any guesswork. He is not interested in guesswork. He wants to know and to understand. So in other words, a compliant person will have problems believing in miracles unless you can prove to him. Then he would eat. Now, a stressful environment. What kind of environment that would stress a compliant person? An environment where there's no pattern, inorganized, no clear instructions. That would surely stress him out because he do not understand what he needs to do or how to reach the objective. So there should be a pattern, else he will run in a circle and may not be able to come out from the circle. Unrealistic time frame. Don't ever push a compliant person to finish a task far below the budget that is supposed to be. It would stress him out badly. He would not be able to perform and fail to deliver. Tasks that cannot be rationalized is also a no-no. It would be a risk to give to a person who is compliant. Another stressful environment would be a playful environment. So if you put a compliant person in a playful environment, he will find it ridiculous because work is work, play is play. Do not mix them up. A compliant person draws the line. Let's look at the advantages and the disadvantages of a compliant person. The advantages of a compliant person is that they are good at creating procedures. So if you want them to create procedures and they can understand the process, they will start writing things down in detail. They are very precise and they are supposed to be very responsible for the things that they are doing. So isn't that good to have such person in your team? And these people will take their task seriously because rules are rules. Rules are not to be banned or broken. Now, what are the disadvantages of a compliant person? That takes longer time to finish a task because of the perfection and the precision that they want to achieve. And at times they may ask many questions and from different angles and repeat the questions again because uncertainty is a challenge to their thoughts and they cannot bend rules when required because rules are rules. They are not meant to be broken nor meant to be bent. So they are very rigid. So God's beloved, I've covered a compliant person. So now you should have a better understanding what is a compliant person. So let's look at Jesus. We know very well that Jesus is also having compliant personality. Can you identify the words that speak of Jesus as a compliant person? Now, if you turn to John chapter 12 verse 49, Jesus said, "For I have not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command, what I should say and what I should speak." So you see, Jesus is compliant to the Father's commandment. He would only say and speak what the Father has commanded him. So if you get a person who is not a compliant person, the issue is that the command may be compromised. So God's beloved, we have come to the end of today's video on a compliant person. The next video I'll be sharing with you the 4 personality DISC behavior under the STEM environment. We will see how would they behave. So until we meet again, let us declare together, no fear, no compromise. Abide in the Word of God, led by the Spirit of God. Shalom, Emmanuel.